Welcome to the AUSO podcast, and we probably don't need introduction or presenting AUSO, but we are a leading European technology provider of hardware and software, and outside of Europe, we are mostly present through our AUSO Cloud Marketplace, and we are expanding to become a truly global technology provider. And today, InspirIT is one of our partners, is a leading consulting company specializing in data management and analytics with focus on Microsoft Data Platform and business intelligence solutions. InspirIT was founded in 2010 by Margarita Naumova, and the company provides high quality services to clients across Europe. Margarita, maybe I should make a disclaimer here. We both worked in the past at some time at Microsoft, but this was way before Azure was a thing. It was not even in private beta. It was really engineering concept, and the only cloud provider was AWS, and probably GCP was just launched a year ago, so it was before 2010, right?
Yeah.
And Margarita is a globally recognized expert mainly in SQL Server, holding the prestigious Microsoft MVP and certified master in SQL with over 20 years of experience in databases. And she's the founder of not only InspirIT, but also the SQL Master Academy, and leads the Let's SQL Together and Azure Analytics user group in a couple of countries, other communities, as well as being a frequent speaker at major Microsoft community events, international event on the Microsoft's data platform, together with and she's having specialists across Europe, originating from Sofia, Bulgaria, but now more and more into Norway and north of Europe. And she's supporting businesses in optimizing their data management systems.
Correct.
So we are discussing Microsoft Fabric today. Many organizations struggle with sort of a data overload. They lack actionable insights and don't have an easy way to make use of AI and machine learning on their data. How does Microsoft Fabric address this problem?
Hi, Ogi. First of all, thank you for having me here today. I'm happy to discuss Microsoft Fabric as a really breakthrough and the flagship service and platform Microsoft releases a year probably ago. Microsoft Fabric changes the game, indeed, of building and having a Microsoft platform and data platform for organizations where they could organize their data in one single place, which could serve many experiences and many data specialists in the company, and of course, end users and data consumers who can enjoy the data insights. So all of them can work together to get the data analyzed, to get the data processed, and to visualize data at the end of the day. All those data consumers and specialists who are kind of like touched with the data, they are for example, data analysis, they could be financial directors, they could be just power users building reports, and they all can work in the same platform now. And on top of that, this platform is a software as a service, which means the data maintenance is or like infrastructure maintenance is kind of out of the box with the low efforts, and the security is there as well.
Yeah, security is super important,
Yeah.
and I also saw they added their copilot on in almost
Yes.
every module and on every step of this in the platform.
Indeed. What makes Fabric really tempting to try is probably the AI intelligence built in all experience in Microsoft Fabric. So the user who is the end user and data consumer, he can have his data in Microsoft Fabric stored, modeled, for example, and he can build reports based on the AI assistant or copilot. He can also use native language to search for data and to query data and reports that he built or their colleagues, data analysts or power users built in Microsoft Fabric. Data engineers, on the other hand, can use Copilot for building really fast and easy data processing flows or pipelines. So
Right.
Copilot is all around and it helps every single stage and step that every role in Fabric can have and can use the technology.
Yeah, speaking of natural language, so just about everyone. And because in the beginning I thought it was just a dressed up, sugar-coated, expensive version of open source technologies like the Apache Hadoop and storing in Parquet format, and but it rather integrates everything into one platform. It's not just
Yeah, it's not just open technology, although the Parquet format and Delta Parquet format actually
yeah.
is something that is really good in Fabric because it makes Fabric kind of like easy to integrate with. So you can consume data outside of Fabric, but you can also build the lakehouse and warehouse in Fabric without touching the proprietary data format. So you can still use open source as a data store. So that means interoperability between
Hmm.
Fabric and other platform, like for example, Databricks, is very easy to perform. On the other hand, it's not just about embedding Spark cluster over a data Delta Lake format.
Hmm.
It's a lot of experience, several engines which work together and they consume data in a different ways. So you could potentially build a data warehouse, or you can build a lake house, or you could build a semantic models. On top of that, using Power BI and Direct Lake as a really speeding up the data transfer between the lake house where the data originate
Hmm.
and the Power BI consumers. So it's there is one concept which I really like and which probably makes the breakthrough of Fabric, and it's called One Lake. So One
Yeah,
Lake
so
is where the
that's
data resides,
yeah.
and all the data that you consume either outside of Fabric or you ingest in Fabric, or your data is state, and all of them are stored in one single place. So this is a breakthrough because of security. You can implement a one security, data governance, a data protection, and you can still use those data in different teams. So
All right.
this is a really good concept I like, and it's probably one of the best nowadays that you can find as a concept which is implemented with technology. You can touch it, you can see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and it's also you have as you said, single user management, single
Yes,
security, single
yes,
sign in. Everything is leveraged from the Azure platform, I guess.
yes,
And
absolutely. So it works on Azure platform. It's Azure service, and basically everything that we know as Azure security, including working in the virtual networks or like protecting users and
right.
protecting the data. It's all there. So and it because again it's software as a service. It's something that you don't need to put a lot of efforts to configure in advance. So it's just there.
Uh-huh.
But One Lake, you're absolutely right. One Lake is a concept which gives a lot of benefits to the company security and data governance because it can become centralized. So even if you have data in the different locations, you can still centralize the data governance and the security within the company. So when you know that your data is in a single place, then you can think of the security in a different way.
Right. So it open one link improves data management overall. It's really
Absolutely.
yeah. I just managed to try the what was it, the Synapse data science, because this is the only one appeals to me, and but there are so many other modules. And can you give maybe a real world example of how organizations can benefit from Fabric?
Yeah, we are about to start yet another project implementing Fabric for one of our customers. And what we are about to build with them is a data warehouse in the cloud by ingesting the data from their on-prem systems. They will use Power BI for building the reporting part. But we need to build a data warehouse first, which means we will ingest data from several systems, and then we will build the model of the data warehouse, and they will be able to use the data in the different teams to build financial reporting and financial analytics. On top of that, they could ingest data from cloud-based systems like centralized data for example, geolocations or cities or something that is a centralized financial data, for example, for markets, so they can compare where they are currently based on their market based on the insurance market measures, for example. So another example,
Benchmark themselves.
if you are, for example, a small company with accountants, let's say an accountant has a challenge to consolidate data from many Excel files, and that's always been like producing too many Excels and working
Right.
hard to
Absolutely.
get data in one single place. Then in that case, he could just ingest or like upload, let's say simpler, upload data into Fabric, all those Excel files. He could build a really simple model very fast, and he could share this data with his colleagues so they could build together a model and they could build reports and analyze data. They could even get back data in Excel as a result of their
All right.
analysis. Yes, that is really great. Another example is, for example, if you're doing a marketing campaign, then you could get a model which analyzes data as a result of the marketing campaign, and you could really easy build a real-time processing of data coming up from social networks, for example, and you can compare those
All right.
data with your marketing results, so you can build the next part of your marketing strategy. So Microsoft has always been emphasizing that part of getting into the products really fast and building solutions very fast. So having that learning curve not so steep for their
Right.
products. And Fabric doesn't change that. In opposite, if you think or compare Fabric with other powerful data engineering platforms, and you can realize really fast that the users will get into the platform and bring the results very fast because it's very intuitive. It's a fast learning curve that you have to take, and you can see the results really fast and build a project or of your own as part of the company Fabric tenant. So that could be your project with your data, and you can share the results with other teams as well. So it's really cool for like result sharing as well.
Yeah, and you save time on all these back and forth and version control and
Absolutely,
everything. I
that's
would
also
say
very positive.
So it really sounds like less like a single platform and more like a really new way to, I wouldn't say revolution, but like for data analytics platform, it's really a new way to approach this. And but to be realistic, there's no perfect technology, and maybe there must be some challenging in implementing, from your experience, implementing something as complex as Fabric with customers. So, what are some obstacles that organizations might face?
Yeah, you're right. It's very exciting on the first place, but on the other hand, if you really want to see the best out of your data, then you need to face some challenges during the implementations. No technology is perfect. If you don't have a business processes clear, if you don't have your idea as an architecture to implement, and if you don't follow good practices of building up data and modeling data, secure data, building or applying GDPR, for example, standards or other
Right.
secure standards. So it's
These
more
two.
a challenging move zone from the technology itself to the way we use it to achieve the results. So the companies needs to think of the data in a different way. It's the Fabric can democratize data, and it relies on democratizing data in such a way that every single user in the company can benefit out of the data which we organize, process, and secure in one single place. But you need to be more like proactive in that environment, not just the data consumer. And from that perspective, it's really important to start with a very good design first, with choosing the architecture to
Architecture.
implement, because it could be, for example, all the architectures which we use out there are possible to implement in Fabric, starting with the classical data warehouse, or let's say medallion architecture or data mesh. So everything is possible. And from one perspective, because everything is possible, so there are no limits in the
Yeah, so
technology.
it's
You can
tempting
produce
to.
a lot of mess at the end of the day if you don't plan really well.
Yeah, so it's about finding a balance between leveraging what Fabric can do, building capabilities, and level of customization, because it's always
Exactly.
so to work with the platform, not against, not trying to fit it to
Yeah.
existing. All right, and it sounds like Fabric is not just a technology solution, but this planning that you mentioned in advanced architecture, but it sounds like a strategic decision that might affect the entire organization.
Yes, and I can see that with our customers actually. What I can see is it really affects the way the teams, the organizational teams think about data. So it goes together. When we help them implementing Fabric, we start usually with one team, and I can see how the team progresses throughout the project, and they start working with data in a different ways. They start thinking about data in differently, and it's really a breakthrough from that perspective, because they think how to produce the results out of data. They don't think about how actually the technology works behind the scene.
Underlying, yeah.
Yeah, underline. Um, and they start consuming data in a different way, so that they can produce insights, and they help their colleagues to get the data insights and the results really fast. So there is a learning curve for every single role in the data platform. Like, for example, for data engineers, learn how to integrate the data, how to organize the data, how to process the data with large volumes, and how to probably prepare data for further downstream analytics. But data analysts it also brings their experience there, and they start working with the data science experience. They start building and validating models out of the data. They start consuming data in a different way using Copilot in
Right.
that case. Yes.
They're the domain experts, and they work with the other specialties.
Yes, exactly. So everybody
Specialists.
consumes data, and they work together to bring the data to back to the organization as results, and to help make them right decisions. So yes, I can see that the technology pushes actually that part of when all those rows can think, collaborate together, can think of data differently, and can work together for like building the data insights.
Right, and we talked about potential benefits and some challenges, but one question keeps coming up: how does Fabric handle this constantly evolving world of data? So you mentioned the on-prem data is not left behind, but we also, for example, we have this IoT platform that many companies struggle to make use of the entirety of the data. Maybe they use some percentage of the data. It's huge amounts piling up real time. So all these new data sources emerging, and the volume of sheer volume of information is increasing. So can Fabric really keep up with all these changes in technology?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So at the end of the day, it's about data evolving. So whatever solution you build, you need to think about the scalability of the solution. And sometimes with some of the data platforms, no matter which cloud provider you work with, you have to think about how you scale the compute power. So it's not even about the storage, because the cloud storage is kind of like unlimited. But the problem comes when you really need to scale the compute, and basically
The compute.
the development of so fast development that we saw in advanced analytics technology in the cloud. One of the reasons is that the cloud provides scalability, really good scalability, comparing to on-prem technologies, for example. So scalability means we need to be able to scale fast based on the evolving data. But on the other hand, we need to make sure that our type of workload and data consumption will also be covered by the compute power that we allocate for our data platform, because we have peaks as well. So it's not like evenly distributed workload all the time. And from that perspective, Fabric is really covered, and they have a really good model for allocating a compute power. So they work on a capacity basis. It's a very simple model, for example, comparing to Databricks. But they work on the capacities. So you allocate capacity, and that capacity is something that every single workspace in Fabric consumes out of. And capacity are scalable, so you can scale it anytime, scale up and scale down. And you can monitor the consumption of the compute power at every single time in very detail of a report, for example. So you can see your report, how much capacity it consumes. On top of that, so capacity is based on regions. So every location could dedicate a capacity, and that capacity could cover several workspaces, which means, for example, several projects could share a capacity. Or if you find there is a critical project, then you can just remove or move that workspace and dedicate capacity
into
for itself.
Different region.
Exactly, or for like different capacity in the same region even. But capacity scale really well, and on top of that, they cover the peaks, which we call bursting in Fabric. But that is a bursting workload. So I don't know if some other platforms have that concept actually, because it's really cool. So if you have peaks, you can allocate and consume 3 times more capacity that you both
Yeah, for a short period of
for a
time.
short period
Yeah.
of time until the peak goes like, yeah,
And then you have your development or just consuming.
exactly. Then you
Yeah.
have that averages or smoothing,
I see. Now I get it.
and you can continue your workload. In any other cases, when you have peaks, your workload or your compute power will just stop. So your workload will potentially struggle.
Mhm.
In this case, we can have that covered. So that is really cool concept, I think. And the scale, according to the scalability, absolutely. So it can evolve all the time. There are a huge clusters for covering a really high demand of workload. So, for example, processing terabytes of data or multiple terabytes of data. Comparing to other type of platforms is very same, I would say, because it relies on Spark clustering.
Mhm.
So we could expect to be able to process a huge amount of data.
Right. So it's yeah, it's constantly evolving, and now I begin to understand the capacities. And so how many capacities they offer? It was
Oh, there
in
are
excess of.
like dozens of levels in the
Yeah,
capacity. So
yeah.
you can
There
start
are
really
many.
small, yeah,
Yeah, just
and you can increase to F something, which is fabric
yeah.
capacity. So yeah,
So and then you get some of the features. For example, F64 and above, they get the Copilot in Power BI,
yep,
so you can really
absolutely.
easy create.
So you have to go to F64 in order to get the benefits of Copilot, and on top of that, the licensing that you may have in Power BI. If you have Power BI Premium, then
It's a
you
different
switch
model. Yeah.
directly to F64. So you got Fabric.
All
Congratulations.
right. So it's a yeah, it's a different model than Power BI separately was licensed on.
It's if you don't have Power BI Premium, then yes, you have to get Fabric licenses separately,
Hmm.
and you have to license your Power BI users as well. But otherwise, it's everything is one platform. So if you have Power BI Premium, then you will have Fabric F64, which is really cool because
Yeah.
you just have all that compute power. You can build the lake house, warehouse, or everything which stays as a backend of your semantic models, and you use the same capacity.
Oh, I begin to start grasping
That is
the
good.
capacity model. Um, so yeah, so it's evolving platform. I was surprised to see because I compiled for the also Microsoft newsletter. I compiled this news, and they produce almost twice a week some new feature. And I made the summary for October this year. For example, they had 14, 15 different new features added to the platform
Yes.
in just a month.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like difficult to follow them. Every single week there is something new. And the program team works in Microsoft works really hard to build a lot of new features based on demand, based on the feedback of users. So I'm really happy to see those things that I kind of like struggled and missed them last year or like even a month
Hmm.
ago
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
product. And as an MVP, I'm part of like some private previews, and I can see from inside how that is going. And there are a lot more in the future. In the last conference in Stockholm here in Europe, they released a lot of stuff, including the Copilot extras and some other things like in the security as well. But you can just you cannot name them all, of
Yeah.
course. And we have a team in InspirIT who is kind of like dedicated to get the latest trends, to perform an R&D, to build templates for our clients, and to help them to find the
Uh-huh.
proper architecture so that we can help them really fast to get into a workable solution in their Fabric platform.
Yeah, it's good you mentioned templates. I never thought about. Yeah, this is like yeah, like if you have templates in best practices in programming
As best
languages, you can
practices,
do
yes.
something similar here that can be shared between types of customers that are
Yeah.
similar, probably. And so it's about democratizing the data, unlocking the potential, and changes the way we work, the way we learn from data, the way customers learn from data, because we're both in technologies. So it's not just about installing, it's I guess training and upskilling of people that will work with this would be needed to ensure everyone can use these tools and navigate
Yes. I
uh,
agree.
this unified environment. So it's tell us something about the path to acquiring these competencies and uh, w- all these different modules. I guess they have slightly different paths, and
Yeah.
what could be your advice in?
Yeah. Indeed. Some training and learning is absolutely necessary. Fabric is built on experiences, as we mentioned already. There is an experience for data engineering, so there is a data engineering experience. For data engineers, their responsibility is to produce, to transform data, to produce the data from the very source, to ingest data, to process, to deliver cleans and data ready to be used further downstream. We have also experiences which rely on a real-time intelligence. So
For
this is,
IoT and
yes, for
similar,
IoT, for
yeah,
example.
similar
So
workloads.
they are consumed by, or also data engineers kind of role. We also have data science for building machine learning
Yeah, this
model, training
my
model.
part.
That's what you
Yeah,
touched already. Yes. And data analytics, which is semantic models, Power BI, so that part of experience. We have data integration, which is data factory, pipelines. So as you may see, it pretty much covers the all the roles which are included in the data platform in general. So what you can make with the data, what you can do with the data. And of course, every single role has to kind of like um, get to know the platform, how it works, and basically have to get the best practices out there so that they can shorten the time from the very first start of the platform until they produced a solution or they work with a solution. What we help during that path is we usually help to for the users and teams at the client side to get this knowledge. And we, for example, build some roadmaps for implementing the fabric, organize users in roles, um, build the customized training for them in order to get them aligned with the fabric. But if they want, there are a lot of resources out there in Microsoft Learn. So if one has a real, let's say, feeling of what they want to learn and in which role they fit more, they could start studying of like data engineer. They could qualify as data engineers. They could follow DP 600 path of
oh yeah,
learning courses
this
from
one.
Microsoft. Yes. And there is a new way, by the way, a pretty new certification, which is DP 700, which is dedicated to data engineers only. So DP 600 is more like data analyst.
Yeah,
So there are learning paths, there are certifications as well. So if one wants to become really professional in that technology, then I would highly recommend to go and check for those certifications and to start learning. If they need to like start from somewhere of like road mapping their solution, their implementation of fabric, then they better contact experienced data engineers, and in that case, they could get a roadmap and they could follow that roadmap further. So we have several clients who help them with such a roadmap and design.
All right, yeah, and then you help also actually at the moment developing this solution discovery framework. So it's about showing the end customer, the partners, how to work with their end customers to discover what will work best for them from Fabric, from Azure AI, etc. So it sounds very promising, and for those customers or resellers that want to dive in and explore Microsoft Fabric, what hands-on to try it themselves, what is the best way to start? Or do you have a recommendation?
By the way, yes, Fabric has a trial, 60 days, which is very cool because you have a pretty good start. And that trial is F64 as a capacity, which is really cool.
Oh, nice.
So they could start with the trial if they want to have some hands-ons. They could start with that, and there are also samples. So very good collection of samples by industry. So they could build some samples, and they could follow the instructions. Or they could also check the Microsoft Learn and Fabric samples and tutorials. Really cool stuff out there to try to build end-to-end solution, which is really simple, but it could give you an idea how is possible, how something is possible to be performed in the Fabric environment. So these are basically the starting points. In order for somebody to start to fill the environment and to be not more like handful.
Yeah, I didn't know. I have the trial, and I didn't know it was F64 capacity, so I could try the copilots in.
Well, I'm afraid you couldn't because they haven't enabled Copilot in the trial yet. But I hope that will happen because Copilot is very resource heavy. So you need to buy a F64 in order to check the Copilot. But I hope that we will get there someday. So we will be able to try Copilot, at least some of the functions of Copilot in Fabric by using even trial capacity.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
But you can try a lot more things, by the way, and it will be very fast. So you will have an impression that it processes your data really fast because the capacity is really high.
Yeah, if you can afford it later on.
Yes.
So with that, I want to thank you very much for taking the time and participating with us with the also podcast, and we know where to find you, and maybe we'll send your way some of the tough cases that we cannot handle ourselves.
Okay, we always like challenges in our team. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to discuss Fabric today with you, Ogi. So yeah, see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.